Hello and welcome to Conversations That Connect. We are your hosts Suki and Tayla.
Join us as we explore the IT, digital, accounting and finance recruitment industry and dive into the factors shaping our careers and life.
Get ready for engaging discussions that bridge work, life and really everything in between.
Grab your headphones, sit back and let's explore the connections that drive success.
Well, I think today we were thinking about what we were going to talk about, and I think the previous recording that we didn't do, we just had an amazing experience in terms of recruitment, and we wanted to talk about that, but then also
The
do a versus a not so great recruitment. Now we have an example of either one of those or both of those.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we are today. It's about the recruitment process and how we've spoken about the resume and how important that is so that you can get an interview and at least get an opportunity to showcase what you can do, but the piece of paper needs to talk with you. But once you get that interview, it then reverts back to the client and the experience of the candidate in that interview process. And that interview process starts from once we submit it. Actually, we're part of the interview process and we're part of that experience because we have to take the candidate on the journey and expose them to who this client is, how they operate. And if that's a process that's easy, not without, questions or how do we do this? What do we do? But if it's an easy process, a transparent process, that's probably the right word, a transparent process, then that allows us to do the best job possible for the client, but also for the candidate.
Yeah.
And that allows us to give the candidate the experience that they deserve for the time and effort that they do put in for an interview. And we've just recently had a good experience and a not so great experience as recruiters, as working as the middle person to secure a candidate. We've secured candidates in both instances, but it was polar opposite experiences.
And I think where it came down to and what it was lacking was communication was the first big issue, but also the intention behind the recruitment. One client knew exactly what they were looking for in terms of skill set, but personality wise, and we were given the bigger picture of where this person's going to sit, what this role is going to look like in the next 3-6 months, that sort of thing. So when you mention we are part of the process, I think if we take it back to reading the job ad, that starts the process because one of the job ads was very intentional. It was pretty specific. It mentioned everything where the other job ad, it was specific, but it was kind of vague in some areas. We weren't really too sure. Didn't really know if the title matched what the job was. So there was already confusion within that. So I think from the get-go, even just reading the job ads were polar opposite because we were able to be really specific and intentional about the person who we were looking for.
Yep. And to be honest, the one experience that was very intentional and they knew what they were looking for. They gave us a rundown on exactly skill set was really important, but it was more important to get the right person. That had been the third round for them in that specific position. So I think they knew exactly what they didn't want as well. And that's pretty important. But the big difference is we were able to speak to the person that was part of the process and understand exactly what is needed. In the other instance, we were working off a piece of paper and we couldn't talk to the hiring manager. Even if we had questions, those questions had to be done via email and we didn't get, you couldn't really sit down and understand what is it exactly that you need in this role. And we couldn't ask questions that we know candidates would be asking of us. So we weren't as empowered as we could be to go and find the best candidate for the position.
Yeah.
As it turned out, we did. Was that luck? I think we're really good at what we do. So we were able to read between the lines, but it made the journey a difficult one because the whole time you weren't 100% sure Do I have everything I need? I need to get more detail. How do I get this detail? Nobody's coming back to me. I'm trying to keep the candidate on board. The candidate did have another offer. It just made the whole process tricky.
Yeah.
And that's part of our job. We do tricky processes. We do try and manage that as best as we can. But the more information we have, the better we can manage everything.
Yeah.
It was a tough journey, which I don't think it needed to be tough.
No.
That's probably the bottom line of it. It didn't need to be that difficult. It could have been a little bit easier just in terms of that communication and transparency.
And even setting the candidate up for the interview, we did have specific questions around, who is this person going to be interviewing with? What is the protocol for it? Is it going to be behavioral questions? Is it more of a different chat? Even that we weren't able to provide the candidate. So again, both the candidate and us were semi-blind the whole way through. So we couldn't set the candidate up as best as we normally do. So again, and it's kind of like, luckily this candidate was very like, yep, happy to, go with the flow, happy to have the interview without knowing the whole picture. And some candidates pulled themselves out because of that. So again, like they could have been missing out on really good candidates purely because we weren't getting their questions asked and we didn't know the questions. But I think it was I think we got the personality right, that he was willing to do that. But again, other people weren't.
A really tricky one. And it just so happens that we just came out of this fantastic recruitment process where everything just worked because we knew what was expected of us. And I think the difference is we were treated as a partner in the process and an important partner in the process, where the other process is you're not accidentally, but incidentally, you're part of the process. You're the company supplying the resumes. And I think that's probably from a value perspective, our value is it seen and where it's not actually seen as much. And I think that's the difference. And maybe that's an education process to clients to make them understand that our part in this journey is a very important part. Like we've said, we can make or break a candidate by our very first phone call in representing a client.
Yeah.
If we represent that client incorrectly or badly to a candidate, that already puts everything on the back foot.
Exactly.
So we do play a part, and we do play a big part, and we can make or break a great candidate for a position.
Exactly. But also on top of that, we can make or break a business or a culture in a business, because your business is people and we deal with those people that you are wanting to hire.
Yep.
So if we're not trusted or given the information that we need, how do we support the business in finding that right person?
Right person. And then going through the process, because in that first instance where the recruitment process worked really well, that was the third round that they went out for that position. They had tried themselves twice.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the third round, they went out to an agency. And maybe in hindsight, because they had gone through the first two rounds, that gave them a clearer picture of what they didn't want and what was really important to them. And what was really important was the personality of the person fitting into a specific role within a specific team. And that you can't determine that on a piece of paper. That's our job. That's our job when we're speaking to candidates. So maybe that's helped the process a little bit.
Yeah.
It also helped that we knew the client really well, and we already knew what kind of personality would fit into that organization.
But they kept us in the loop the whole
all
time.
the time. We knew exactly what was happening.
Yeah.
They set the timeline. We knew exactly what was going to happen when, how, and the communication lines were open.
Yeah. And they were
we
quick
could let
to
them
come
know
back.
exactly what's happening with the candidate.
Yeah.
Because the candidate also had other things happening. So that just makes the whole process so much more efficient in terms of time.
Yeah.
Because if the candidate wasn't interested in the position after the first interview, there's no use trying to make that happen if it wasn't going to happen. Like, pull the plug, start fresh, look at somebody else. And the client would have said straightforward, like, no, this is not the candidate. They actually interviewed 4 candidates. Was it 4? 4 candidates for that position, shortlisted
2.
2, and then decided to go with one of them. So that was I think it's the communication and just the transparency and
Yeah.
the understanding of our role within that whole process.
I also just want to touch on trust. That just
Mm.
came up as well. That client and the contact and the hiring manager trusted us that we were doing the right thing. So they ended up seeing everyone we put forward at the
Yes.
end of the day because they trusted in what we provided wasn't just a list of people who applied. There was hundreds and hundreds of people. So they really trusted that we did the due diligence to go through it and to make sure that everyone was bang on.
Yeah, which is
with that.
exactly what we do with every role.
Yeah.
But in some roles, we have more information than in other roles.
Yeah, it's kind of hard when you don't have enough information or you don't know where this person's sitting within a business or you don't know, who they're reporting to or you don't know the bigger picture. And that's hard we can't paint the picture to the
If you
candidate.
don't know what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
correct.
that's how we find the right candidate is painting that picture so that candidate can almost like visualize themselves in it and just be like, yeah, I can fit in here. Or, hey, no, that's not for me. Not
Correct.
getting 2 interviews down the track and finding out that, they have 7 different reports or something like
Yes,
that.
yes.
7 different report twos. Like it's, yeah.
Absolutely. So that's we probably have a little bit of like the experience we've just had in the last that would have been 4 weeks.
Yeah.
We've had just 2 polar opposite experiences, and it just highlighted again for us the importance of using a recruitment agency to its fullest potential. Once you've engaged us, we're engaged.
Yeah.
Use us, make sure that we deliver the best value, and the best value we can deliver is by knowing exactly what it is that you're looking for. And sometimes clients don't know exactly what they're looking for, which is also okay. It's rather going, I'm not 100% sure if it's this or this.
We can have those conversations with the candidate.
Yes, exactly. So it just empowers us to have the right conversations and then go and find the right people, and try and not waste anybody's time by being specific about what we're looking for.
That's it.
Yeah.
We work with our heart on our sleeve. Sometimes too much.
much.
Sometimes way too much. But, like we have your best interest at heart, whether you're a candidate or whether you're a client. And that candidate who didn't end up getting it was left out of 2 of them, the really good experience. He said, anything else comes up with that client, I am first one there. And even we mentioned that to the client. The client's like, absolutely. Like he will be first in the loop. And anyway, me and that candidate, we still touch base. I got a call from him the other day letting me know that he got a new job and, like I helped him with his resume to begin with. So it was like, it's that whole experience that if there was another agency involved, say, or a different process involved, would that candidate have the same experience if they applied directly or if they applied through a different agency? I don't think so, purely because we're good at what we do. We love people. And again, like we work with our heart on our sleeve. So for that candidate to keep me in the loop now, even though he didn't get the job, but he's got a new job and he's like, hey, how can I support you? If we have a job, I'm getting you straight away. Like that sort of thing. So
yeah,
exactly. But now that candidate is willing to work for that client again. Like 100%, even if he didn't get the job, he's like, I still want to work there. So
correct.
Keep me in the loop.
And that's because we did our job and they did their job.
Exactly.
And we were empowered to do the best job possible.
All parties
So that's
did
it.
their job.
I mean, the recruitment still happens. We still placed with both clients.
Yeah.
You can still make it work and you can still make it happen. It's just the one's just a little bit easier than the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A better process for all, a better feeling, a little bit more
Correct.
engaged in both.
Yeah, correct. So when you do engage a recruitment agency, try and give them or try and empower them to be able to make your job as easy as possible by finding the right candidates the first time round so that it can be an easy, smooth process. And for candidates, the same. I mean, if you've got another offer on the table, you have another offer on the table. If we know that you have another offer on the table, we can then communicate that to say, hey guys, you can't hang around and wait. The candidate has something else happening. Get him in, meet him. If he's the right person, let's get the process. So at least everybody knows what chess pieces are on the board and what needs to move to be able to make things happen.
And it's better to have more options than none. So it's having another offer, it's not uncommon. Like we understand it. We get it. You're not going to hold on to something because something else might be happening. Have the conversations, have all the options, lay it all on the line.
Correct. Because you should have options. You should be, because you're actually looking for a new job. So you should explore every opportunity that's available and make the best decision for you and what works best for you. And we get that. We completely understand that. We can work within that parameter.
We're not scary.
So that's it. It's probably the bottom line is communication and transparency and enabling people, agencies to do the best job possible for you. You're going to pay us either way. Let's do the best job we can for you.
Yeah, definitely.
That's it. That's us.
Another short and...
Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Conversations That Connect.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Connect with us on social media at Montague Group on LinkedIn and Facebook. And please feel free to drop us a line with any topics you would like us to discuss and, of course, any questions that you do have.
Until next time, guys, stay curious and stay connected.